Welcome back to ZAG, the ZAG cast for ZAG nuts like myself and Johnny.
I'm hooked on ZAG.
I'm hooked on ZAG. I binged.
I binged the whole first season.
And how many episodes was that total? Because I think I've seen them all.
Well, it was a short first season. It was 10 in the first.
Right.
And then the second, they bumped it up to like a full season. It was like 20.
But they haven't made it yet. Or they're still making it now.
Yeah, they're still making it.
So do you want to talk about episode 1?
The thing about it is I'm like, because it's changed so much, because so much happens.
Yeah.
It feels like I can't even talk about episode. It's like, I think back to episode 1, like when Bobby's talking to the janitor.
When he first arrived?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think...
They call that an episode a drop-in.
Right.
Did you know the difference?
No.
There's an episode where, like, if you see a pilot for TV, like Lost, where the plane crashes, and right from the beginning you're in on, like, here are these people in a normal life, this big event happens, and now you're following them in what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
The opposite is something like Parks and Rec, where you're dropped into...
It's the same as it was yesterday.
There, same as it was yesterday, typical day, and now you're going to follow along.
Okay, so this is definitely a drop-in.
Right, because all those other characters are, they've been moved, nothing is big changing
No.
when Bobby arrives. But Bobby is definitely, right from the first beat of the show, you're going to follow him, it's all about him.
Yeah.
In this world.
It's clear.
As post-apocalyptic as the world is,
right,
it's been this way for a while.
Exactly.
And what do you think about the society's rules that you find out about?
This is the interesting thing, and this is what I was going to say, because when he's talking to the janitor,
right,
like in the beginning, it seems normal,
right,
but then
you realize the janitor is not
exactly. You realize he's in charge.
He's in charge.
He's been elected,
right.
And so
and janitor means so much more there.
Right, and so their whole conversation is like a different conversation.
Right, but it throws you for a loop at first. I know that I felt like I was judging, because they said janitor, I'm like, oh, okay, this is a low status character.
Yeah.
But within a couple seconds, you realize everybody's jumping to whatever the janitor says.
Exactly. So this is what's interesting about, you asked me, what do I think about the rules? I think...
do you want to go over them?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. I don't know if I'll be able to remember all of them. I mean, the first one.
The first one, clear.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Don't ever touch the rats.
Never. Well,
that one's clear.
But you don't find out why right away.
Right. It's just up there.
That to me was the first thing where I was like, what the hell?
Hold on to your butts.
Yeah, what's going on with the rats?
Now,
First of all, I would never touch a rat, but that rule stuck out. Like, why is that something?
Want to touch
why is that a rule?
Exactly. Why is it number 1?
Yeah, number 1.
Number 2, no sex.
Even on the commandments, it's like, what's the first one on there?
Thou shalt not
kill or something.
It's a big one.
Right, it's a big. You lead with the biggest. So what's the second one? Right.
And so it's don't touch the rats, no sex. I don't know if that's the actual wording.
But my confusion when I first saw it was, are they talking about with the rats?
Oh, that's funny. And maybe they are. This is how I feel about the show.
You don't know. We're talking about episode 1.
Yeah.
And let's be clear to anybody listening. Episode 1 only. We're only talking about episode 1.
Okay, you don't want to go on.
No, not right now.
Okay.
I think we should do one episode at a time.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
Try to remember. So they give you the 6 rules. The first 2 being don't touch the rats. You can't have any sex with anybody.
Right.
What is it?
The third rule?
Yeah.
Inside voices. And I don't know what and I wasn't sure what it meant.
And that actually doesn't really come up until much later.
Okay, yeah, so don't tell me.
I won't say.
I binged it all, but I don't want to...
No, yeah, you're right. Okay. And then, obviously, it's gasoline isn't free.
Right.
Kerosene isn't free.
Right.
Those are 2 very distinct rules.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, why didn't they just group them into one? I guess later it becomes more clear.
It does.
But at first I was just like, why didn't they just say fuel?
Right, because that's not.
That's not what they mean.
Used for.
Right, that's not.
And then the last rule. Oh, what is it?
The last rule?
Yeah.
All rules are final, which doesn't make...
Yes.
Because you think rules are...
Done. It's done. That's right.
Yeah.
That's really important, especially in the first episode.
It's
super important because we learn about the janitor.
Right.
That he's the boss. He's in charge.
He's in charge of everything.
And there's nothing you can do about that. Because even though he was elected, it's final. He's elected for life.
It's like Supreme Court
Supreme Court Justice, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been approved. So, all right, so let's just go through. We know those are the rules.
Right, but that's within the first 2 minutes.
I know, they hit us with it.
Yeah.
They drop us right in. They don't try to over-explain.
No. So there's hardly any exposition. It's all like treading water.
What are we looking at here? We got Bobby, we got the janitor.
Right.
There's the mysterious man in the coat. That big raincoat.
Right.
There's Denise.
Lex is the guy in the coat. Yes. Although, right from the beginning, you kind of feel like the name is forced and it might not be real.
Right, it's almost like he's over.
It's almost like, oh, Lex. And you're like, that's not... Yeah.
Yeah, but it could be, like, maybe they're trying to throw us off something.
Maybe. It could be a...
there's Denise. There's...
And Denise has some kind of a weird connection to the janitor.
Right.
I'm not sure.
She even says that.
Yeah.
She says something like...
I feel something. That's what she's like. I feel something to him.
There's a vibe. There's an energy.
And you don't get the feeling it's like familial.
Well, all right. Can we just talk about, because I think we need to go. I think we need to jump to the end because there's that big reveal at the end.
Yeah, the big one. Yeah.
So because it's all these like kind of white people,
right?
All these American people.
Well.
And then at the end,
but Denise has the accent.
Exactly.
It's a hint of British.
Yep.
Or something.
So they're kind of already...
you know how South Africans have a British thing?
It's
one of the two. That. Yeah.
And then at the end, they give the reveal.
Yeah.
You're in China.
Yeah. So this is like a little enclave.
In this, and because all the signs are Chinese, and there's the dragon stuff, but they don't even show that until the end.
Until the end.
And it's all overgrown.
Which is kind of like, it's kind of like when you see something, on other shows where you see this community, and then like camera goes out and you see like the country, and then out and you see the planet. It's like that.
It's kind of
like
that.
You didn't know you were in China until you pull out.
Yeah.
But this show is just focused on what's going on inside the enclave.
This little village, and there is that group.
I'm not even sure it's a village per se.
It's like a couple buildings.
But remember, underneath the sign, the population. It was like the population.
Right. What does it say?
And at the beginning of the episode, the population said 20,709.
Yeah.
And at the end of the episode, it said population, and it added one number.
That's right.
And that was like at the end. You're like,
could that be?
Who's new? Is it Bobby? Did they not count Bobby till the end?
Not count Bobby. Is he new to the? But it seemed like he knew what was going on. And there's that whole group of hunters
outside
because you don't see them for a while. And they're all, and that's what's interesting is that they are all Chinese, and it doesn't make sense until the end.
And not only that, you find out that what they keep referring to as skiffies.
Yeah. They're the skiffies.
That's what they're referring to.
Right.
But you don't know.
I know, they just, I like that about the show.
The word keeps dropping, and you're
I like that about the show.
You don't know if they're talking about people.
Yeah.
Or a government or politicians.
Boat.
You don't know what it is. Skiff. Yeah, it could be a boat.
But that's right. The skiffies are all the Chinese hunters.
Yeah.
That are outside the enclave.
And the weird thing the thing that I picked up on right away was the Chinese hunters. They all look different in their garb and things.
Right.
But they all had that one medallion.
Which,
I don't know if you noticed this. I have to go back and look. But I think in the first episode, Bobby had a medallion that wasn't the same, but it had some similarities. Some real strong similarities in color and shape.
Right.
Yeah, but it wasn't the same one.
And it becomes clear later on.
Oh, it does?
In a different way.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
See, I binged the whole first season, and it's a bit of a blur, so I'm going to go back and watch each episode.
Yeah, you got to go one at a time.
But I'm sticking with this first episode.
Here's my question to you.
Mm-hmm.
You watched the first episode.
I did.
You start, you get to know the people.
The writing
that whole enclave. Phenomenal.
Is so...
It's like a novel.
Clever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like every layer.
Every word is so important.
Every word. Yeah, I should go back and I'd love to read the script, actually. I've never watched a show where I've wanted to read the script.
But I think it's important because there's probably details that, like, here's a question.
Maybe a dissection.
What is your first impression? What was your first impression of the really tall trees?
Well, it's post-apocalyptic.
Clearly.
But the trees, being that tall,
yeah,
tells me that we are way into the aftermath.
Exact. That's kind of what I felt.
But this is what I also wondered about.
Yeah.
If you notice, the trees had, obviously, this is so clear, you obviously saw it. But what I'm wondering is if you took the same meaning. But there's that clear fullness of the trees at the top. Mm-hmm. And then there's about, 10 feet on every tree at the same point, very uniform. Nothing. But the trunk's still there.
Right.
And then the lower 10, 15 feet, again, very full.
Yep.
Or about 6 feet up to about 10 feet above that. Full. I'm thinking some event happened.
Yeah.
And they're going to talk about what that might have been.
They're going to explain more.
It looked like almost like a fire damage.
Right.
Or some kind of explosion.
Let's just... Because the main event in the first season, once you kind of know the Enclave, is the funeral and the funeral procession for Big Dave.
And we'll be right back after a message from our sponsors.
As always, this episode of ZAG Nuts is brought to you by Blue Dot Panties, the one-stop shop for all things underwear and intimate apparel. My wife actually recently got a free shipment of Blue Dots, and I gotta say, not only are they functional and comfortable, but they're not too bad to look at either. So
that's what I've heard.
You can go to bluedot.net.
Use our promo code ZAGNUTS.
And you'll get 25% off through the entire month of November.
Yep.
Blue Dot Panties. Try them out. And it's a free return.
Yep.
So you can wear them for 3 years. And if you don't, it's an amazing deal to think. Anyway.
You can send them back.
3 years, you can send them back.
Lifetime guarantee.
Look it up. bluedot.net. That's blue dot spelled out .net.
Yeah, not bluedot.net.
No, bluedot.net.
Right. We should spell it out. BLUEDOT.net.
So
/ZagNuts.
/ZagNuts. That'll get you right to the promo screen. Code. All right.
Great.
So
I did not know. I could not figure out how he died.
And because they don't tell you.
Oh, okay.
He's just dead.
Yeah.
And it's like a drop-in. Clearly it happens a lot. And so they had that whole procession, and that's when it zoomed out and showed us that they were in China.
Right. But I didn't see much of Big Dave before.
No.
Was his big thing to be dead?
Yeah.
Because I don't think he had anything.
Right.
If you go back, I think he's in the background in a couple scenes.
He's around. Right. He's not dead when it starts.
Right.
He dies,
but you don't know much about him.
No, he's just one of the people.
One of the questions I had: the janitor changes for the funeral.
Yeah.
Into this what looked to be some kind of a steel but rusty kind of steel kilt.
Steel kilt. Yeah.
What was that about? Is that a ceremonial garb?
I think that's what they want us. I think that's to be understood. Oh. Some kind of ceremonial, because it's very ceremonial with all the incense,
right,
and all the chanting.
And what was that mysterious? They kept saying it's the special herb, special herb, and they called it something. They called it chene.
It was something like that.
Yeah, chene, and they were like, "You must have the chene. You must have the chene." Something about his spirit not being able to ascend, as they said.
And that's what's so interesting, because Big Dave dies, and then the population goes up by 1.
Right.
So it makes you think it should have gone down by 1.
Or what is the population? What is that?
Is that
counter
the number of people
for?
Who died?
Is that the counter for here, or is that counter for another place?
And why is it updated like that? Because it's futuristic, obviously, so it kind of makes sense that it would just...
Yeah, instantly.
But they lost somebody. Shouldn't it go down? That's
unless the counter is for a different place. Like maybe the afterlife. I don't know, because they have hinted that
they talk about that
of the dual places.
Places.
Dual place. The dual place. And if you drag it out, it sounds like dual.
Like a gun duel almost.
Yes. No, dual, as in
dual.
Both.
Right.
Two.
It could, but that's... this is what I like. they're so ambiguous that
I would love to get my hand on a script if anybody has a copy. I would love
there
to be able to
is
see.
Somebody who's transcribing it.
Yeah, but I'd like to see what the
original,
writers wrote.
Because it's important.
Because not only that, but the writers...
Shots of the trees, like they want to see the trees.
Or like in the directions, do they say, focus in on... Or was that like a director's choice? Was it the writer's choice?
It's kind of a good question.
And next week, we are going to have... I don't know if... I think I told you. We're going to have Carl.
No.
Carl Platt.
Yeah.
On the screenwriter for the pilot episode. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And he's going to tell us, I probably not spoilers, but maybe get some insight
highlight
to the first episode.
That's so.
Yeah, but we'll be on to the second episode. But he didn't write the second, but he was supervisor on the second.
Okay.
So I'm sure he's more than qualified to talk to us.
Right. Well, I think he's a co-creator.
Yeah. What do you think now from the point of view of the production? Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the acting? Because I think it was stellar.
It's unbelievable. I've never seen a show with such good acting.
Not one of the cast members is somebody I've seen before. Not that I know.
I know they're all new. I think a lot of them are Canadian.
Is that true?
I think so. I read that somewhere.
I did notice that the guy playing Bobby, if you remember his name, Ralph.
The actor.
Ralph Sincox.
Yeah.
Sincox, is it?
I think it's Sincax.
Sincax. Ralph Sincax. He's going to be huge. He's
clearly, but he's older, project,
you know? Yeah, but...
It makes me think of like a Steve Carell.
Yeah, but a serious Steve... Like Steve Carell in Fox Hunter.
Exactly.
Yeah, very dark. Very dark.
And
he's nuanced.
Yeah.
Like...
But that he's got to be 40, 41, and he's never been famous before.
No. You know? From what I read online, he has done a few off-Broadway things.
Huh.
And then...
I think a lot of them are stage actors.
And then I don't think he's Canadian, this guy. But I think he was off-Broadway in the 80s, and then kind of gave up on the business. Mm-hmm. And he's actually very close with the writer of the pilot. So, obviously, that's a good connection there.
Did you know that the child, what's the child's name?
Franny?
Franny. She is, that actress, that child star, is never done anything before. Which is kind of hard to believe.
She's 7.
I guess, but she's so good, you think?
She's very good. She's very natural.
She's Christopher Lloyd's great-granddaughter.
You mean Back to the Future guy?
Yeah.
How about that? Well, she does a great job.
She's fantastic.
So, every time she spoke, I almost cried.
I know, she's so on point.
And this is part of the writing as well as the acting. Mm-hmm. It's so believable as a girl who just lost both parents.
Her whole family.
Well, was it the rest of the family too?
Well, the dog.
The dog. Okay, so
I guess when you're 7, it kind of counts.
That does count a lot. I mean, even when you're 20, that counts.
Yeah.
If you're
family
close to your
dog, both parents, and her grandmother.
Oh, right.
That was her grandmother.
I didn't think that. I thought that was a nurse. She was in a nurse's uniform.
She wasn't. She is a nurse, but they don't really address it. But in the flashback, you kind of piece it together.
Well, she was phenomenal. I mean, every time she spoke, her voice cracked just that right pitch that gets apparent,
Yeah.
It hits your heart.
It's great. And I think it's interesting because I like that the Big Dave death becomes one of the central mysteries of this.
Yes.
Because in the beginning, they treat it like it's normal.
Right. What about the couple? The two women? They're together, but they... obviously can't be together.
Well, they become very important later on.
They do.
Right near the end of the first season. In the first episode, it's almost like we're not really supposed to think about them. They're just part of the group.
Well, in the first episode, they caught my eye.
Sure.
Because the one was the spitting image of a young Gillian Anderson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
And the other, oddly enough, I think looked remarkably like... I don't know if you've seen this, but the Huma, she's a real person, political.
Huma Abedin.
Yes, very much like that.
Definitely.
I think her name is Archie Punjaja.
Archie. Oh yeah. I saw that name in the credits. Yes. That's her.
That's her. Okay. So they're a stunning couple.
Yeah. And
biracial, and I was struck when I saw them at first. I was just like, "What an attractive couple!" Mm-hmm. And what is that rule about no sex? But because they're happily together.
Yep.
And apparently, without any
I know. Well, but that's the thing, is all the rules are final. Who's enforcing them? We don't see any police. We don't see any...
Well, there was the group.
There was
that group. I don't know if you saw... it was small, but in the background, they were marching together.
Yeah.
And you got the feeling they were training.
There were like 3 or 4 of them.
On the back of them, it said El Pulso, which... I thought maybe was a weird...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Was a weird...
I forgot about that.
I mean, it's almost an acronym for police.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not sure if it is.
It's good that you noticed them.
Yeah, I did notice them.
But I'm not going to...
And I thought, are they the enforcers? And then you go back to the old question, how do you enforce what happens in someone's, house or, more specifically, bedroom?
Yurt.
In this case, yurt. Bedroom section of their yurt.
Yeah.
If this is a rule, or are they being watched?
Yeah, that gets answered in episode 2.
Okay,
I'll just be quiet.
Okay. Actually, I kind of know what you're talking about because I did watch all the episodes, but I didn't. I was doing some dishes.
It's not a big thing, but they do address it, and then it kind of fades under the other because there's all those big, crazy stuff that happens.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I found it very, very interesting that this no sex rule was there,
right?
And yet, almost to a person, in the first episode, there's some implicated, like innuendo or just flat out statement that everyone there is bisexual. So,
right.
So sad,
and is
right?
that in the world?
Sad. Double the chances of partners, no sex allowed.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell if that's like everybody in the world or if that's the enclave. That's what.
But you don't know there's a bigger. You don't know that they're just a subsect until you branch out and see. Oh, they're in China.
Right, and it becomes clear, and because there's nobody else really there, it's all
right. And the enclave. I mean, it almost seemed like the world that they pulled out and showed you couldn't really house 20,000 people.
No, well, that's the other thing. What is that sign again?
What is the counter counting?
And I've seen the whole first season, and I still don't know.
You don't know?
They don't tell you because everything.
Can I just tell you from a viewer's point of view? That disappoints me, knowing I'm not going to find that out.
You will.
It's infuriating.
I know, but it's good because it keeps you guessing. It keeps you...
I know, but I don't want to be dumped like I was at the end of Lost. Sure, not knowing what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so that's episode 1.
Right.
There's...
Well,
meet Bobby, talk to the janitor.
Let me ask you what you thought about the whole schooling system there.
Oh. Well, I think it gives us an insight into... it gives you kind of a place to guess what happened. Because the thing is that they sort of reference the event, they sort of reference the election, they reference... what's the thing the teacher says? She calls it... the catastrophe. And she says...
And history is looking forward, not back.
Yeah, history is looking forward, not back. Which gives you... There's this idea of, okay, there's a narrative around what happened. There's the catastrophe, there's been an event, it was tied up somehow.
They never tell you if the event was man-made or natural. No, they don't.
Because it could be either... it seems like there was a couple things that happened.
And it doesn't even really seem like it matters. It's like... although, if you know it's man-made, then you're like... more angry about it.
Yeah,
if it's nature, then it happens.
History's looking forward, not back. It's almost like
that almost implies that it was man-made,
and they're not even going to talk about it.
It was man-made, and they
might not ever tell us. They're kind of saying like it's.
What would that mean? Why would they do? Why would they not want to talk about something that was man-made? It's man-made, and we don't want to talk about it.
But that's a good reason why it might not be man-made.
Well, I'm excited to find out.
If you can't learn from it,
why bother?
Yeah, which is sort of the attitude of the school.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be prepared for something like this happening again?
Maybe. What
maybe they know it can happen again.
Is that there are so many children. That's what stood out to me.
You know what? Just from a practical point of view of a production, you'd be surprised that they can hire that many kids.
So it clearly has to be important.
Unless it's CG.
I don't think it is.
No, you think?
I think I heard that nothing is CGI.
In this production?
Well, that can't be true. Well, they built a whole... They bought a whole parcel of land and they built a whole...
In Australia.
Yeah.
Which is very strange how they made it look so
I know, they built all of that Chinese
Asian.
architecture.
It looks Asian, all the architecture. Yeah. Well, it must be all fake. You know, like...
Well, yeah. It's cheap, but I know that they're trying to do as little CGI as possible. So, yeah, there's got to be 45, 50 kids in that room.
Yeah.
And they're
one room. And you got the feeling that wasn't the own room. You got the feeling that was like one of the rooms.
Right, it was in that big building.
Right, so was like
that's amazing to me because there weren't that many adults. And there's no sex. And yet there's all these kids. And they don't really address that as a mystery, but it is to me. That's what stood out.
Okay.
What the teacher was saying.
I don't want you to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Sure.
But I want to just throw this out there. You just
want to ask the question.
I want to ask a question, and I don't even want to know the answer, but I'll just tell you what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I have a feeling in the second or third episode, we're going to get a view of people, maybe men and women, or just women, whose jobs it is to populate. And that's going to throw everything that's going to just throw everything madly, because then you're talking about a utopian controlled society as opposed to a surviving. What's the remnants. So I don't want to know the answer. Looking forward to finding out.
That's a good question.
But it would definitely.
I'll say
it would definitely turn.
It's a good question to be asking.
Yeah, because these kids are coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
But you know what else I noticed?
What's that?
And maybe we'll find out this later.
Yeah.
Not an infant anywhere. I never saw
a
couple
teenager
carrying an infant. I didn't realize that. Are you serious? Not a teenager?
Did you see one teenager? It's all
I would have assumed in the school building.
6 to 10.
Do you think every classroom was like that? See, I assumed the other classrooms had the older kids. But maybe you're right.
I don't know.
See, but you've seen them all, so that makes me wonder. Okay.
Well, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And to think, they could do this all in 20, 25, 24 minutes.
Yeah, it's a half-hour show.
It's a short show.
It's very short, but I think that's what makes it so bingey.
It is. It's easy.
You're like, I can watch one more half hour.
Yeah.
And then you're down that rabbit hole.
It's so tight. And they fit it all in so well. It's amazing. It sounds like it's like an hour-long show. It feels like an hour.
It felt like an hour. I felt like I spent an hour with these people.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I spent a half hour.
I know. So.
And I can't wait.
Episode 2. It opens with a bang.
Episode 2 opens with a bang?
Huge.
Well, episode 1 ended with
this big revelation, but it was kind of subtle. You're kind of like, what does that mean?
It was quiet.
No.
You know, it left me going, what?
Right. It's like, now what? That wasn't I don't even know enough information to know how to feel about this.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a cliffhanger, like, oh God, what happens next? It was more like, what the hell happened?
I know. It was like, so, okay.
Now,
I was just trapped.
I do want to have that now what feeling. But I didn't.
Well,
I had a what did I just see feeling.
Episode 2, if you remember, starts with a flashback. I'll say.
I remember that. I remember it briefly.
We start to kind of, because we haven't had many. We had the one with the nurse.
Yeah, but that did nothing but confuse me, and it was weird.
It was silent.
Nobody was
speaking.
Black and white. It was like, what the director's choice there.
I know. Very David Lynch.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's going to happen again. If our flashbacks are all black and white.
You'll see.
Are the flashbacks like
you'll see.
Moderations of, I am very excited to
watch episode 2 tonight.
And we'll talk again.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
ZAG.
ZAG. ZAG. ZAG. ZAG.
ZAG is where it's at. I am already very active on the fandom.